In the wake of recent terror attacks, coalition Knesset members like Adv are again pushing to push forward legislation to use the death penalty against terrorists. As of today, only 2 cases in modern Israeli history have ever ended with the death penalty. And joining me now in the studio to expand on this issue is Davidi Hermelin, the president of the International Center for Public Diplomacy in Israel, and the president and chair of the New Israel Fund, Attorney Talia Sasson. All right, so let's begin with the wider question. Like we said, only 2 people in Israeli history have been sentenced to the death penalty. Why has Israel been so against the death penalty historically?
Myself, I was always against death penalty because I do think that the main obligation of any state is to save life and not to take them. But unfortunately, in recent times, I've changed my mind, because we had enough. And I think that in any case, when a terrorist comes and takes life of innocent civilians in their homes based on hate crime, I think that this person should not keep his life, and we have obligation to take them.
All right, what is your take?
I would say, in my opinion, this is unconstitutional. I think that the state is not allowed or not authorized to take a life of a person as a part of its penalty. Of course, you could give a penalty to horrible people and to put them in prison for life, but not to kill them. And and this is from a moral and legal point of view. Right. But from a security point of view, when I hear all the security organizations of the State of Israel who says that this is it would be a disaster, and a security point of view in Israel, this is something that, of course, convinced me, even I would have thought different than I do.
Well, I'd like to get into 2 different issues here. One is kind of the issue of what happens on the field in the military here. Couldn't this law end up being abused if there were to be the death penalty in place? Would we see more extrajudicial killings take place?
Of course, in my opinion. Well, it's not me. Who am I to say? This is the security authorities of Israel says. The IDF, the Shabak, the Mossad, all of them are against that. And why? Because they believe, not because of a moral position, they believe that it would cost life of Israelis. So why would we support that?
If I may. First of all, any constitutional rights are given to the citizens of the country and not to the enemies of the country who have tried to take the life of its citizens. This is first thing. So any constitutional debate about that is just not relevant. Put it in the side, please. Secondly, if we are talking about a wise policy, so any new law proposal about death penalty will not relate to, will not make any obligation of the courts to use the death penalty. But we would like to encourage the court to use this option in cases when the court will believe it's okay.
Do statistics show that the death penalty actually deters terrorism? Because especially here in the Middle East, we see a lot of cases of so-called martyrs who are already ready and willing to die.
Thank you for this question, because if it doesn't matter and if they will be motivated anyway, so at least for the good feeling of the victims, of the families of the victims, I think that even it's okay to talk about revenge. If we would like to revenge the death of someone who died just because he's Israeli or Jews by our enemies, so we have moral obligation at least to consider a death penalty.
Yeah. Well, I can't agree to that. Even if you make the revenge as something that we could respect, which I doubt. But I don't think that the revenge could make it a moral thing to take the life of a person. It's a matter of a philosophical position that if you are not, you think that the authority of a state is not authorized, is not allowed to take the life of a person, then you can't make it as if legal and as if we could respect that. We can't. I can't. But when you're talking about a security point of view, they say, the IDF and others, they say that people, the terrorists would capture simple Israelis from the street, and they will threaten to kill them if we won't release those people that we're going to kill them in our authority.
All right.
So,
well, unfortunately, we have to wrap up. I mean, we could go on about this topic all day long,
I think
for
that
sure.
we had enough, and enough is enough.
All right. Well, thank you both for joining us and giving your respective opinions on this.
Thank you.